Hello, everyone. My name's Hank Settler,
Aloha, I'm Brian Daniel Edwards.
and we're here with the final Hawaiian, at least final for now, final Hawaiian episode of Midnight Meanderings. Tonight is so bittersweet because we've been kind of following Brian's adventure in Hawaii for a couple months, I think now. And tomorrow at 2 o'clock, he leaves the Big Island back for the States. So tell us what's your plan once you get here? I know we're hopefully going to be connecting in just a couple weeks here.
Um, Between now and when the plane lifts off, I have a dear friend that wants a session, and our schedules haven't lined up to do a session. So after the webcast, most likely I'm going to do a session for him, finish getting all my packages together, uh, and then maybe get some sleep, finish packing, clean everything up, clean the car. I have the car sold. I've had it up for quite a while. As soon as I bought the ticket, I'm like, okay, let's get. Well, maybe I had it up for sale even before I bought my ticket, uh, but it wasn't until this morning that I had an actual cash offer for the car.
So here's just to put this a little bit in perspective, and we're going to talk about this stream that Brian did from the top of what was it, Mauna Kea. When he gets to the island, like within a couple days, someone gifts him a car, and right when he's leaving the island, he ends up selling the car. And you were talking on that stream about how the island is like a hotspot for manifestation and actualizing things that you're putting out. And here's just like another example of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the car was not selling regardless of price. I was, moving the price around, and I got like three people contacted me about it today, and one person is coming out and purchasing it in the morning. The very day I'm flying out. So that was one of the things. So if I sold my car too soon, I would have had a really hard time getting around because I'm not anywhere where you can walk, hitchhike, or use public transportation to get anywhere. I'm a long way from anywhere. So if I sold it, it would have been very challenging. However, if it didn't sell till after I left, that would have also been challenging. So it was like, and it couldn't have worked out any better. I'm really sad to give this car up too, but it's a Toyota Prius, and it was the ultimate road trip vehicle. I could push the seat forward, and I could fit a twin-size bed in the back of it, so like a blow-up mattress, and I could camp anywhere on the island.
No, but what I really want to get to, because the car was just a great synchronicity. You come to the car
Yeah.
island, you get the car, you leave the island, the car is selling. For those of you who didn't catch it, it's streamed to the Sonic Shaman YouTube channel, and I want to play this. I'm going to add it. We're going to I'm not going to play the whole thing. This is him and a friend of his went up to the very top of Mauna Kea, and they were doing ceremony. And then in the very final minutes here, something very interesting happens. And let me just tell you my perspective the following day, because I was supposed to be on with them, and I fell asleep, and so they were just streaming on their own. And I get messages saying, "Hey, Hank, is Brian okay? What happened to Brian?" And I'm going to play this so you guys can see exactly what was occurring right in here in these final little moments.
Your wants, your needs into a very concise way that the universe will oblige to. On the other island, on Maui, it's a very similar thing. On all the Hawaiian islands, things manifest instantly. You're provided for. If the island wants you here, you will stay here. It will either find a way to keep you here or find a way to provide for you. So it's just amazing how thin the veil is, how in the spiritual realms that are here. My friend on the other island, Ava, very powerful healer, very gifted visionary. I'm being made aware of something. What are you seeing?
Look up. Look up.
What?
Look up.
I'm looking up.
You don't see it?
What on earth are those? Like,
What on earth is that?
I am dumbfounded. I
I've
have
never seen anything like that.
No.
I wish you captured the
no. Let me
camera.
see if I can turn the camera on so you can get a better view of
They're
this.
light. They're like
We
something told me. My intuition told me to lay on the ground. I had no idea why.
we are looking at giant
Crazy.
glowing streaks right now up through the sky. One just
And I think that was it. At that point, it totally cut off, and we didn't hear from Brian. He did like a little update afterwards, and everything was okay. But Brian, why don't you give us a little bit? I know you can't talk about everything, but why don't you give us whatever you can give us of what the heck happened there?
So to put it in perspective, for some reason on the top of the mountain, you have almost full bars. I was streaming video from the top of the mountain, no problem. It went from full bars to no reception, the circle with the line through it, instantly. So as soon as I went to flip the camera around to show that phenomenon, the feed got cut instantly. I had no reception until I was able to update it later.
Oh, yeah, StreamYard was still streaming, but there was no actual video feed. But it went on for like another 5 minutes before it just went completely dead. And that's when people started messaging me, "Is Brian okay? What happened?"
So, I mean, there's what I consciously remember, and who knows what else happened in the interim. Let's just say we were greeted by uniformed officials very rapidly. So basically, as soon as I looked up and I went to flip the camera to get it on film, I got cut off instantly. So as soon as I went to flip the camera to do that, someone must have been watching me and they're like, okay, nope. And they blocked my cell phone. And I had no reception for quite a while until I was able to do that next update. So I don't know exactly what was... yeah, so there's probably some things I don't remember, but as far as I remember, we got greeted by uniformed officials almost immediately after.
And did they like escort you off the mountain, tell you how to go? How much interaction did you actually have with them, or they just wanted to make sure you weren't causing trouble?
You know, I was kind of dressed somewhere like, I don't want to. Well, I mean, they didn't really. I think they didn't realize it was us. There was someone else up there, and I don't know if they knew who was streaming, or like, according to my memory, like what happened. They just kind of asked some questions. What are you doing here? You're not really supposed to be up here at night. And we told them, oh, we're doing ceremony and we're connecting with the mountain. So then after we said that, they kind of just left us alone.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, I mean, so it was pretty instant. It was Terran based technology that we saw. It was not ET, and so it was definitely Terran based.
And for anyone interested in watching the whole video, I'm going to post a link to it. So here is the full video. So if you want to go and watch the whole ceremony and then see Brian get cut off by whatever it was, you can watch it at your leisure. But it was an amazing little catching even that little part on camera before it went dead was kind of cool. And I'm glad you're okay, because in the morning I hadn't seen that you made the update. And then I'm messaging Brian, like, Brian, what happened? Because I only saw that it going dead too, and I'm like, crap, what did Brian do now? He survives all this other things and he gets taken out by aliens or something. So I'm very glad you were okay.
So I'm curious, what was your perception? You got some intuitive hits on that. What did you see? What did you get about it?
I don't remember now. Well, I was genuinely concerned when I saw the video, and I don't know if it was just because I wasn't getting an intuitive hit. But then afterwards, right after I messaged you, I felt a lot calmer about it. And then I found the other video, so I didn't feel like there was any actual danger per se. it almost feels like the energy of a child that gets caught doing something they're not supposed to do in a way. Like when I catch Max or Oliver doing something and it's like, oops. But it wasn't anything malicious or bad or anything like that.
You had mentioned an encounter, like you talked about seeing intuitively that we encountered possibly something beyond Earth origin. What did you get with that?
I don't remember. Did I just say that, or was that previously?
That was the previous conversation we had about it.
Oh, I honestly don't remember it.
Okay.
I don't remember. I wish I did. But
so I can't really talk about what got cut off. However, I can tell another really cool story that happened up there as well.
Please.
Now, the whole time, I was pretty high, like being up at that elevation. The hypoxia it's real. So when you watch the video, my words aren't the clearest. I'm not that well spoken, but you know that's that shot at 14,000 feet, and I'm used to living at sea level. So and it was cold, and so you know there were some barriers to entry. So I might not be that well spoken in the video. So the next day, I think we filmed with Keone. Yeah, I think that's what it was. So then the next day I did the webcast with Keone. So what with that, I think we went up Monday and the webcast was Tuesday. Who you took your Hawaiian class with,
Harry.
his son was there. So he watched the webcast and then he came over. So Keone's friend came over and greeted us when we came down from the webcast. Oh my goodness. The information he had was incredible.
He is amazing. And he's the one, for those who missed the last webcast, I had trained in a modality called Lomi Lomi. Harry Jim was out at Lilydale, and he just came into the room and just started doing this huge belly laugh. He was laughing like just hearty, full presence belly laugh, and the entire class was just laughing, tears coming down our eyes. We had no idea why we were laughing. And after a couple minutes of that, he just kind of looks around and goes, "Now we can start class." And that's how he started. And he just had such a presence to him. And the information that came through, the thing that struck me the most is he made I might be misquoting it a bit, but he had said that in like the Hawaiian language before it was modernized by by the modern world, there was no past or future tense. It was only now. They had only the concept of being in the now and not fragmented in future or past. And that was like a huge thing that I took from the class. And that all the healing occurs in that moment where you're neither breathing in or breathing out. You're just a witness in that null point, in that null space where all the magic can happen.
So we had conversations, and I was asking him about some of the stuff, and I was asking him about different pyramids on the island. And the one I asked about, he said, "Oh, I don't know about that." I'm like, okay. Well, when they say they don't know, it's usually, I can't tell you, or I've not heard of that. And yeah, okay. They can't tell you things. Some things are secret.
Which pyramid were you asking about specifically, or you can't tell me?
Yeah, that's kind of the down low. Not really supposed to talk about that one. When you bring that up in conversation, they're usually really shocked in that you knew about it, and like, how did you know about that? So that is kind of privileged information.
All right.
Yeah. It's not top secret, however,
I'm getting a little
revenge
revenge for Rocky when you kept asking him questions you knew he wasn't going to answer. So I'm just going to start asking you questions I know you're not going to answer and put you on the spot.
Yeah, so I don't want to burn any bridges here, so I have to kind of play within the rules. So he goes, "Yeah, no, I don't know about that one, but have you heard of the invisible pyramid?" I'm like, "Oh, now you're really messing with me." He goes,
Is that like the pool that's on the roof when you're in high school? Is that the same type of thing you were thinking?
So I'm like, "Are you messing with me? Is this a joke? Like the drop bear in Australia?" I'm like, what is this? Something you tell the tourists about? No. So when you're on top of Mauna Kea at sunset, the sun sets in the west, you look east off of the mountain, and you can see the shadow of a pyramid. And it's not any of the mountains there, but there's a pyramid. So I'm sorry if it's kind of loud. The dogs are out, and
Is that any of the pictures that you sent me? Is that what you're talking about on any of those?
no, that was from my climb the day before yesterday of Mauna Loa,
Okay.
the ones I just mentioned. But you can actually see you can actually see Mauna Kea from some of the pictures from the top of Mauna Loa. So it is pretty cool. You can bring those up in a little bit. But the sorry, there's a lot of noise. Is that messing up with the broadcast?
No, I can hear you fine. It's just a little bit of the background noise is all. So we'll bear through it.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure how loud it is.
It's a little loud, but
Arthur's got the
loudness-
dogs now.
loudness is better than no broadcast, so we'll live with it.
So okay, so if you look east, you see this like shadow of a pyramid, and it's not any of the mountains. It's not Mauna Kea, it's not Mauna Loa, it's not any of the other ones. And the question is, where is this pyramid shape coming from? However, when he told me the invisible pyramid is from the top of Mauna Kea looking east, that night, right after the webcast got cut off and we saw the one thing, I was getting pictures of the moon, and this really strange lens flare appeared in some of the pictures, but it wasn't a lens flare. It wasn't circular. It wasn't like a starburst. It was the perfect shape of a pyramid.
So I think you got that on your pictures, huh?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
And you didn't send me these pictures?
My computer's down. So they were on the good camera. So I will definitely send those pictures. The motion sensor light isn't cut. Yeah, okay. There we go. Light's back on. So it showed up as a perfect pyramid in the picture. Right exactly where he described you would see the invisible pyramid. So thinking back, so this was right after I got the picture and I saw the lens flare that night. I'm like, oh, that's a craft. It's a pyramid craft. When I'm looking at it and going, okay, but there's that plausible deniability. It could just be lens flare, maybe. Then when he told me, I didn't tell him anything about that picture. When he told me about the invisible pyramid, the location of it, I ran, grabbed my camera, showed him the picture. His jaw almost dropped, and he goes, yep, that's it. You got it. I'm like, holy cow. So I have like photographic evidence of the invisible pyramid.
Okay, and what is the invisible? Is there any legends or stories or things about it, or you just know that it exists?
He didn't really give me any insight. However, through other channels, through other experience, I have heard that there are pyramid-shaped interstellar-capable craft. So whose it is, I don't know. Nobody came and talked to me that I remember. But that's not saying anything much. They can come talk to you, wipe your memory. I've heard a lot of stories of that happening. So
that might have happened to you. You don't remember everything that happened that night.
Yeah, exactly. There could be gaps in. Yeah, so they could have come. They could have talked to me, and they go, "It's not time to tell the world about this experience yet." So.
Oh, the interesting thing is there was about a good, I think at the end, 5 or 6 minutes, maybe not even that much, but there's a chunk of time where it was still broadcasting. There was just no video.
Huh. That's strange. You think, well, I don't know how StreamYard works, but yeah, it was definitely an interesting thing.
Well, let's see. There's a comment here. Oh, just someone checking in saying hello from Canada. Welcome and thank you for joining us. And also we had Magic Mike joining. I haven't seen Magic Mike too often. I'm glad to see you're still hanging around. Actually, I haven't been streaming as often with the summer. It's been a lot busier. So Midnight Meanderings has been the one consistent thing on Stir Crazy Shamans recently. But we're going to get back into the swing of things pretty quickly, especially once you're back and we're not waiting up till midnight. We can probably stream a lot more often than earlier in the day.
Yeah, and my schedule is going to free up a lot. My goal when I come back is work on content, work on getting things happening. I want to be able to travel and teach the world, travel freely and teach the world. However, with everything going on right now, it's a little bit challenging and frustrating, but it's going to be revealed very soon what happened and why things were shut down. It has nothing to do with the virus. So hopefully that information will come out soon. A lot of people are waking up. A lot of people are tuning into good information channels and figuring out what's going on.
Very cool. And go on.
I've traveled the world. Was that?
Oh no, you're switching topics. That's what I was asking, and that's fine. You traveled the world. Is this kind of like the recordings you sent me? No, you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, so I've traveled the world looking for the answers. I have climbed every mountain that I could find. I've gone into the deepest of valleys. I've just looked for some bright flashing ET ship to beam me up in this explosive blast of light and give me all the information and open my vision, and I'd have this experience and I'd get the answers I was looking for, or meet with an elder and all of a sudden he flicks me in the god nipple and boom, I can see and I understand everything and I have enlightenment. I was looking to meet with ancient civilizations living underneath the mountain to get some answers. I was searching and I was searching and I was searching. I knew it was out there. I could taste that it was out there. Through journey work, I've crossed over to the other side, and so I knew where I came from. I knew what I could do. I knew some of the stuff. However, I wasn't getting that answer I was looking for until the day before yesterday.
And
so I was climbing.
I wish I could play these. Like when Brian sent me a series of audio messages through Facebook Messenger, and your voice sounds different on these things. It sounded like there was just like a presence about you when you were speaking, and because like the way you're talking now and the way it was on those recordings, night and day difference. Just so you should go back and listen to it.
There's kind of a lot going on. So
even with that, I guarantee you it still would be different. There was just like you were right in the energy in that moment when you sounded, I think, and it just really came through on the recording.
Yeah, I was in journey space when I was sending that to you.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I was fully connected. I was fully in that experience. And I realized it. It was... I went to the mountain and I found ourselves. You are the only one in the room. And I don't even know how to begin to describe that. So
haven't I been saying that to you for years?
Yeah, you have. And
go ahead.
On a conscious level, I understood that. But on a full understanding it and feeling it, I didn't. I didn't have that. So I didn't have to go to the mountain to get that information. I didn't have to travel the world to get that information.
But it was fun.
But I had to travel the world to get that information. I had to travel the world to get to that, climb that mountain and get that information. But I didn't have to. But I had to get to that realization, if that makes any sense. It's kind of this catch-22. I could have been in journey space and all of a sudden it just clicked. But for me, it clicked on the mountain. And I went to the mountain to talk to God, or I went to the mountain to have ETs show up and give me the answer. But I didn't have to. When I was able to tap in and realize who I am, who I was, it was just phenomenal. I'm like, oh. And while I was in this journey space, I could feel the presence underneath the mountain. I could feel lots of beings with me, but it's like you're walking through a neighborhood. Okay, people are home. Oh well, you know, like I got the answers I need. I didn't even try to knock on their door. And yeah, so I climbed, I think, like 2,000 feet in elevation, over lava fields. So there was no like nice path to climb. Going up Mauna Loa from the observatory side, it was this really rocky, jagged rock sometimes, loose, sharp, glass-like rock that you're climbing over. It almost makes a metallic sound when it moves. And it was so sharp. And just walking up that, it took me, I started at 8 a.m. I was at so I sent you a picture.
Yeah,
Pretty much exactly where the parking lot is. It is 11,111 feet. No joke. I sent it to you on the GPS.
Yeah, I have that. I'll bring it up here. Before we do that, there's one question, and we can answer it afterwards. I just don't want to forget about it. But Nolan was asking, have you ever experienced messages with movement? And I don't know if that's if that's enough to answer it, but that's a question just to keep on the back burner, or if you want to speak to it now while I get the pictures coming.
It's best to kind of tap into the questions right away. I'm not exactly sure what you mean messages with movement. Do you mean that I get a message and I'm supposed to move on it right away, like going back to the mainland right now? Going back, working with you, working with Brian, making things happen and creating movement.
Spirit moving things. Oh, so like baby car keys. For example, on 9/11, so many people couldn't find their keys that morning and they were late. And was that a message like, hey, don't go to work? So like little things like that, if you're paying attention, certainly can be indications, hey, tune in and see what this is about, versus just taking it as misplacing your keys.
Yeah, there's definitely that. You can have fairies coming in, moving your stuff. Gingities, the little yowies in Australia, they'll mess with your stuff in a playful way. Menehune can mess with your stuff.
Many things.
In Mexico, like little elf-like creatures. Yeah, so there's plenty of times that they can move stuff. I've had in a house I lived in that was really had a lot of presence. This was before I was really on my path. There, one of the pull down window shades in the middle of the night just popped open like that, and then I went out of the house. This was the front house at Baumhart Road. Do you remember that, the old brick house
at Baumhart Road on your parents' property?
Yeah,
I can't say I remember that. But Nolan said, spirit making movement, it's lots of noise and for long periods of time. I haven't had that, though. I don't know if I told you, I went to West Virginia and we did hiking in the mountains, and we rented out this Airbnb. And the very first night, at the exact same time, at like 1:30 in the morning exactly, both Casey and myself, separate rooms, right? But at the exact same time, wake up in like a start, and I had like my covers like ripped off, and it was like a spirit that was attached to the house, and it's just like, oh no, you picked the wrong group to mess with. And so we did quite a bit of clearing work, and took care of that, and it didn't happen again the entire trip. But things like that definitely can happen. It's not as it doesn't have to be scary. That was just somebody trying to startle. Had an issue with men. Happened to me, didn't happen to my wife. Happened to Casey, didn't happen to the kids. So it was like an issue with men, and that happened at the exact same time, pretty much. And we're both like, then we couldn't get back to sleep, and the next day we did a huge clearing.
Wow, that's talk about an unsuspecting spirit. I'm gonna mess with you.
Yeah, you just messed with two Pacos. That's it's actually probably a good thing, because now you get to heal.
Yeah. So what were we talking about? What? 1 second.
Yep, no problem.
Hold on.
Do you want me to take you off the stream for a sec? Or maybe not. Well, we'll mute him for just a second. Bear with us while we're waiting for Brian to come back. If you have any questions or comments about what we talked about so far, please go ahead and ask them. And there was a link to a video that we played a part of when he went up to the top of Mauna Kea. If you missed the beginning of the broadcast, they were up there doing ceremony, saw some sort of phenomenon in the sky, and then got cut off as soon as he tried to turn the camera around. So we played a little bit on this video, but if you want to go back and check the whole thing with the ceremony and all that, you can. And I'm sure he will be back in a moment. For those of you who don't know, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, Brian is leaving Hawaii and he's coming back. Oh, he's here. Let me unmute him here. Welcome back. I muted you while you were gone because I didn't know what was going to be going on in the background.
Yeah, a lot of craziness. Just trying to get everything put together, taking care of moving, packing, getting my car ready, like to sell. It's so much going on right now, so it's kind of crazy times.
Okay. Well, before going back to the pictures, any other comments on the spirit movements and messages, or are you ready for the pictures? To be
well,
put
yeah,
up?
back at Blomhart, the other thing that happened, I left the house. It was kind of comical. I left the house, and my mother was home, and she thought I came back in because I had a headache or something, because she heard like a pill bottle shaking, and she went over to check, and I wasn't there. Nobody was there. So that was interesting. I've seen quite a few things happen, move, fall over when nobody's there. As far as proof, I mean, I've had so much proof. I've gotten a lot of pictures. The paranormal investigation when I was traveling with in Australia, someone took a picture, and in a pane of glass, you could see a face. And the woman who curated the house, if I have that right, she goes, "Oh my goodness!" So she takes us over to a picture in another room, and it was the picture of the woman that lived in that house and died in that house.
You know, in a future broadcast, when I graduated from my, I trained at Lilydale at Fellowships of the Spirit for prophecy and mediumship and healing and all that. And on our graduation day in the Healing Temple, with the pictures of all the students, you can just see there. It looks like dozens and dozens of orbs, maybe even 100 orbs, all in the room with us. And it's a really cool picture. And in some of them, when you blow it up, you can see like a face and an orb right by me. And then someone saw that. I'm like, "Is your wife pregnant?" And shortly afterwards, we were, or she was. So it was very interesting that things like that, like you never know what's floating around when you get things like that. But let me bring this up. So that's what you sent me to start with, right?
Yeah, so that was when I got back to the car. I got a really good picture of it.
Am I on the end then? Should I be starting at the other side?
No, that's okay. That was the first picture I saw, because it was so go back to the picture in the bottom right hand side. That is the elevation.
11,111 feet.
That is where my car was parked. So right there, my car was parked. It's interesting. The Mauna Loa base, or Mauna Kea base camp, where the protesters were, that is at pretty much exactly 6,666 feet.
Well, before we go down too far the rabbit hole, Nolan had another comment, so let me pull that up real quick. There are ceremonies in North America, and like any other culture around the world, that do have major movement with lots of messages from spirit for those that bring that culture main gifts. Usually when you bring gifts, you get answers from spirits. It just makes sense to you both. If this makes sense to you both, absolutely. You always want whatever the tradition is. Like we were talking about that on a previous broadcast. When you go to a lot of these little sacred sites and everything, that there's different spirits that like different offerings, and you want to do your best to offer those things and offer gifts and create a more of a relationship with the spirits instead of it just being a call by name type of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's where I started my hike from.
Very cool.
And so
Brian,
I started
always had a things with numbers. Oh, start your journey. Okay.
Yeah, so I started my journey there, and it was 6 miles to the summit. And so over rocky terrain. So I started at 8 a.m. and watched the sunset, and then made my way back to my car at 11 p.m.
That can't be easy navigating down a mountain in the dark.
No, and there was no trail. There was just piles of rocks that they stacked every few hundred yards. So you just kind of had to walk in the right direction, navigate by the stars, and then eventually you would find your stack and knew you're on, and it wasn't even trail. It was just kind of the best way down the mountain. And if you got too lost, there would be different lava flows. There's smooth lava flows, and then there's ones that were really sharp. So if you started walking on that was not fun.
Now, is this a particular mountain in the distance here?
Actually, I think that might be. That's either I think that could be Haleakala and Maui. I can't tell in that picture, unless that's Mauna Kea at a very far distance. Actually, it just looks small, so it's kind of hard to see it from here. But that might actually be Mauna Kea.
Nice little panoramic there. You always take the coolest pictures.
Well, thank you.
These little signs. Ooh.
That was a really strange pit, and it had stairs going into it. Almost looked like an empty swimming pool.
Huh. It was like kind of carved out or something then, huh?
Yeah. For some reason, it was just this pit. And then they had made, like kind of carved stairs into it, going into it, and like made a stacked rock wall at the one side of it. So I don't know what that was or what it was used for.
It doesn't feel negative or anything, so that's good. Oh, I love the sun in that picture. And that's your shadow, it looks like, on the right.
Yeah. Yeah, so long shadows. The sun was low, so especially in some of the panoramic and 360 pictures, you see my shadow in it.
Yeah, that's crazy because the sun's there, and you wouldn't think that the shadow would be that, but that's actually behind you because you went all the way around with the camera, right? That's cool. It's actually an interesting effect.
They're usually about 180 degrees. I don't go all the way around just because ease of taking it.
There's another cool one.
So it was this alien landscape up there. It was rough. I went up with a really heavy pack with a bunch of water, so it took me quite a while.
Now, on the upper left there, is that one of those little temples or those little the little sacred sites up to the left? I forget what you call them. They lay out?
Heiaus.
Heiaus.
Heiau. I'm not sure if the rock stacks were heiaus. If you keep going, there is definitely a heiau that was made. That was a cool. So the lava looked different in some of them. So you see how it's orangey? It must have more iron ore in it. But it just made for these really amazing contrasts in it. There's a sea of clouds in between the mountains. So between Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa, there's just this sea of clouds, and it was so beautiful. It had blocked out all of the lower world, so I was firmly in the upper world. All you could see is the top of Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa for some of it. So that gives you an idea. That's a screenshot of the GPS. So there's a dot on it next to Mauna Loa, and that's where I was.
Gotcha. Oh, that's all your stuff.
Yep. Okay. So that's the end of the pictures.
Oh, that was it? Okay. So
yeah.
That's a little lizard guy.
So yeah, that's gold dust gecko. They're really cool looking.
I thought there were more pictures than that, honestly. Wait, no, because that was what you sent me earlier, and then you sent me right when we were starting to broadcast. You sent me a whole bunch of other ones. I thought.
Yeah, I thought there was more than that. I don't know. Yeah, in fact, I know there was more than that.
That's all that's here. We're getting pookly-eyed.
Yeah, the second set I sent you is not.
Well,
You
I'll
didn't see that.
I'll start with the most recent one, and we can work backwards. We haven't seen this one yet, have we?
No, I think that's the second set.
Okay. You got a lot going on today. A lot of chaos before you get on your plane.
Yeah.
Is the person buying your car being nice enough to drive you to the airport after they take it from you?
He actually asked about that, so we'll see what happens. I have to get to the post office as well. So it was just absolutely breathtaking, and there wasn't much breath to take up there because it's high altitude.
It's where you could use some coca.
Yeah, I didn't have any of that on me, unfortunately.
Oh, there you go. That's what you were talking about with the sacred sites.
Yeah, keep going. It's hard for me to see over there. Can you see the cave?
I'm not sure. On the right-hand side here?
Yeah. So that was... They built these pillars, and there was like a cracked lava tube, and you can go inside this cave, and they had built like a rock wall. And I really wish I could have done Journey or Vision Quest there and just like spent the night on the mountain. But that might be something I do in the future.
Yep, you got a lot of good reasons to go back.
Yeah, a lot of good reasons. A lot of friends here, a lot of places that I want to continue to explore more in depth. But the cave was okay. So do you see the white stuff in the cave?
The white stuff. So is this a picture of the cave then?
Yeah, that's on the inside.
Yeah, I see it.
So that is ormus. It is a basically mineral salt. And you can actually eat some of that. And when I ate that, my energy came back. My awareness like got enhanced on top of being in journey space already. So that was really wild. And for some reason, so I went on that massive hike over rough terrain. And even the next day, I didn't feel it. I kept walking all day. And my legs weren't tired almost at all. With a heavy pack, with a ton of water, walking that distance, climbing that elevation, I should have been a lot more tired than I was, but I wasn't. It was so amazing.
You didn't take a little bit extra to bring back with you, did you?
I was told you have to be very careful about harvesting it, so I only took a little for myself then. So
that's all right.
Yeah, so I don't know what.
We did go through a workshop of how to make it. I don't know how reputable it was, but we learned it.
No, this is something completely different.
I know. I was saying that with a little bit of sarcasm.
Yeah.
That's another story for another time. We can tell. That was the first time I ever bent time was during that day when we learned that. That was really interesting. Let's see. I think that is it. Yep. That was it for the pictures on that second set.
So I started to, let me see if I can do this justice. So I realized what was going on. I started to realize who I was and what's going on, what reality is. So we're basically watching a movie or playing a video game and interacting with ourselves. So imagine electromagnetic waves getting converted by the television into colors, movement, pictures, sound. So that electromagnetic wave is encoded with all that. Right now, we're sitting down with watching a movie. And it is just frequency coming through. But the way we perceive it is this solid, tangible experience all around us. And it feels real. It feels immersive. But who we really are is a much bigger picture. This is all just us. This is all our imagination. Like you sitting here talking to me, it's imagine these different experiences as colors. The rough or painful ones are like more reds, but red way far outside of the visible spectrum. Red way beyond the most imaginable red you could have. I can't even describe it, but just red is the feeling you get from that stream of information. You have the blues and then the greens and the purples, all of a different experience. So we have these different processors, almost like a multi-core processor in your cell phone. You have like survival and instinct and reactionary experiences in your root chakra. And then you move up to, just easiest to explain, your heart. And that is an emotional, feeling-based experience. And then you move up to your brain, which is like the third eye area, like that area is more of a logic-based processing system. And then you have a more spiritual-based processing system. And then you have your higher chakras as well. And each of those processes your experience. And they don't necessarily always talk to each other, and they don't have to talk to each other. It's all part of the bigger picture. So as we're going through this experience, we're experiencing so much that we're not even aware of at the little point of awareness that our consciousness is at. So the movie that we're watching has a lot of reds in it right now. A lot of pain, a lot of struggle. But imagine a desert. And it's got this perfect yellowy white sand as far as the eye can see, not a ripple in it. And the temperature is just perfect. It's not too hot, not too cold. The sun is nice and warm. It's not burning you. Imagine this perfect blue sky, unbroken with no clouds. It's perfect. This experience is perfect. But you go, let's try something. Let's have an experience. And that emotional turmoil and tumultuous stream of experiences carves out a canyon. And once that emotional torrent flows through and is concluded and is done, evaporates off, you're left with this deep canyon, which is absolutely beautiful. So that experience got even more perfect. So all of a sudden you can experience this blissful experience with a whole new depth of emotion, a whole new deep understanding of what's going on. So it's not just this flat desert anymore. You have this giant canyon, so you can feel and experience the depth of bliss. Instead of just bliss, you can feel it on a whole new, deeper level that experience that was painful carved out. You don't need to have that painful experience anymore. It opened up your channels so you can feel more. You can experience it on a much deeper, more profound level now that that experience happened. So then all of a sudden, now the good stuff can start pouring in and filling that open channel it made. So imagine positive emotions like rain coming in, sun filling this, gentle breezes coming in. All of a sudden you have plants start to grow and turns into the Garden of Eden. And then those plants start to produce fruit, and that enhances the experience even more. And then once those fruits are producing, all of a sudden you see these beautiful tropical birds and other exotic creatures show up, which enhances the experience again. So that's what we've been going through. We have been experiencing these painful emotions. And when I was looking at this, I was trying to find the door back to home. I was trying to get back to the beautiful, pleasant experience. But I kept getting up there and going, oh no, I chose to come down here to experience that, to carve out that new channel of depth of emotion and experience this. So then, it's not home. It's painful. It hurts. But I chose to come here and experience that, to carve out that experience. You came to experience pain and suffering and all these emotions which are uncomfortable. So it carves out your awareness, your consciousness, so you can greater experience the bliss on this much deeper, greater level.
Neil Donald Walsh has a little saying that's often quoted that kind of relates to this. In the absence of that which you are not, that which you are is not.
So that period is almost over, though. I mean, outside of time, who knows how long it could actually be? It could be seconds from now when we all wake up and realize you're just in a movie. It could be millennia from now. So when you're outside of time, it's so hard to say experiencing it down here. However, there is a shift in tide. That emotional torrent is now flowing out. It's almost gone. And then we can start to really experience the bliss. And so every time I try and cross over, go to the other side so I can step back into the spiritual realms, I guess I would realize and not remember, oh, no, I'm supposed to be experiencing this. And then I'd fight to consciously, no, I don't like this. I'm trying to cross back over the other side. And then I'd get there and be like, no, it's time to come back. So on the mountain, I really got to see and understand that cycle and go, oh, no, I'm here. I'm trying to find a spaceship or someone that can take me to the higher planes and have this spiritual experience. I'm trying to meet the angels so I can, step into my rainbow body, or meet with a master that can, really. But then on the mountain, I realized, oh no, I'm here to experience this because I chose to, and I want to experience this. I want to feel the pain. I want to have this whole new alien, uncomfortable experience that is nothing like home. And I'm experiencing this to have this experience. So then when we finally get to that aha moment and we don't need this anymore, we can jump up to the next level. So we can go from the physical plane then into the spiritual plane. All of a sudden, it's going to be a complete different. Everything's going to change. Everybody's going to wake up into this blissful, or maybe not even blissful, but a higher experience and a higher understanding, a higher awareness and interaction with the spiritual realms in a very tangible way.
Perhaps the ability to be in the world but not of it.
And then once we realize that it can get better. I have this all recorded when I was in Journey Space, so it's hard for me, especially being so distracted and stressed out with the move. It's hard for me to tap back in and really do it justice. So I might actually make some audio clips out of that, and then I can play you the recordings from the mountain. So just like going from the physical to the spiritual plane, there'll be this aha moment where, oh, that's it. It'll click. And all of a sudden you'll jump up into the spiritual planes. And then you'll go through all these experiences. You'll go, wow, this is amazing. This is perfect. This is so blissful. And then all of a sudden you'll get to the end of that and you'll have this another aha moment where you go, oh, wow, it's even better. Wow. And then it just keeps getting better and better. To translate what those are, I can't. There's no words. I was there. I experienced it. I came back, and blissful, ecstatic, peaceful, joyous love. That's about as close in words as we can understand. It is so blissful that you feel it in your heart and you can barely breathe. It is just this amazing, overwhelming experience that you just like want to just hold yourself and smile and hug yourself and just breathe, and every ecstatic breath you can feel. That is a shadowy, not shadowy, a blurry, tiny glimpse of the tip of an iceberg from a million miles away. That doesn't even begin to explain where we're going. And it's going to be beautiful.
Yep.
Don't get disheartened with what's going on right now. It is only going to make the next step more beautiful. It's absolutely blissful, absolutely amazing. And we're just sitting down watching a movie of ourselves, interacting with ourselves, playing this video game, and all these frequencies that we're experiencing. So we're actually watching this movie, and I'm you right now. And you are everyone. So right now you're sitting on both sides of this camera. You are the camera.
You're the only one in the room, and so am I.
Yeah. It's like a computer program. This computer program is you. You're experiencing this computer program. You're interacting with yourself.
The
You're
analogy I
having-
always liked is the musical Into the Woods, describing it as everybody has, like, all the childhood fairy tales happening at the same time in the same forest, interacting with each other. But you're actually all the actors, you're the stage crew, you're the director, you're the writer, you're everyone in the play, but you just have the separation even though you're the same. And it's all like, the question is like, how it's all sacred play. It's all puklei that we say in the tradition. It's a wonderful analogy. Movie, same thing. It's everybody's having their movie playing on the same screen at the same time.
Yeah. So it was absolutely beautiful to tap into that and experience that. And I realized when I was on that mountain in this experience, I'm like, I didn't have to try and find. So even when I was finally tapping in, finally getting it, I found ourselves. Like, and I say ourselves because it's really a plural version. I am not, like you and everyone. You're not just that singular point that you're aware of right now. You're everywhere. So ourself refers to the greater collective.
It goes from the kingdom of me to the kingdom of we.
Yeah, exactly. So I finally realized that in a very tangible way. I experienced that. I felt that instead of just conceptually going, oh yeah, we're all one. No, I experienced it fully on this cosmic level. And I got to see not just this planet. And it was a very real experience. Like, I'm like, oh, I got to get to the end of the trail. When I first started out, I got to get to that mountaintop so I can have this experience. And then I realized I could turn around at any time I wanted, because there will always be another adventure. There will always be a trail, and there will always be something at the end of that trail, because we're creating it as whatever we imagine is then created. And this actually comes, in the following days, I was talking to Rocky, and he was saying wit to writ. So you have, your wit, your mind, and then you write it out. And so whether it's a movie, whether it's a story, that's being written into the creation. So everything that has been written down, it's out there. Whether it's in your mind, an imaginary story, that's a new reality. So the more we can think of things, and they exist somewhere out there. So the more we explore, we'll never get to the end of it. There'll be new and beautiful experiences that go further and further and further. there is no end to it. There is no end to the trail. So when I was on that mountain trying to climb to the end of the trail, I'm like, oh, I don't have to get to the end of the trail to have this experience. I don't have to go all the way. I don't have to do that. And then also, I'm like, originally I'm like, maybe the people under the mountain might work with me, or maybe I'll have an encounter with a higher dimensional being, or maybe the extraterrestrials. There's a lot of ships in that area. Maybe some of them will meet with me. And then after I started tapping into this and realizing who I was, who we are, what this is, like, oh, I don't need to do that. I don't have to. I don't need to. Like, it got rid of that compulsion to keep doggedly searching for the answers.
Just in time for it to fit in with you coming home.
Yeah. And that was the experience. I wanted to climb Mauna Loa since the time I got here. I looked up at the mountains. I'm like, I want to climb Mauna Loa. Mauna Kea is the fame child. That's where the telescopes are, the laser weapons are. That's where the protests are about not building new weapons up there. So there's so much drama surrounding that. I wanted to go up there, and it is a really beautiful experience up there. And I've had so many beautiful, powerful spiritual experiences. However, I wanted to climb Mauna Loa, the path less walked. And I see why it's a lot less walked. But it was an amazing experience, and I'm so grateful that I did that. It was physically challenging. But when I got up there, I'm like, I don't need to. I could feel them. I could feel them underneath the mountain. I could feel other beings around me. And I'm like, that's okay. I'm having the experience I'm supposed to in this physical realm. And when it's time for me to step into the spiritual realm, it'll be time for me to step fully into the spiritual realm. But right now, I'm enjoying this Earth human experience.
Good.
Yeah, so it really kind of changed it. I'm like, I didn't even try knocking on their door or trying to find the entrance into the mountain. I found a couple lava tubes that probably would have been it, but I'm like, I'm going to go to the top of the mountain and watch the sunset.
Good for you. And here we are, our final stream of Hawaii.
I know.
So maybe it would be fitting for the final one to do some sort of just acknowledgement and gratitude to the islands for keeping you safe and giving you all this amazing knowledge and things to share with everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we start with that, though, anything else? Because we're a little bit over an hour now. Anything else that you want?
Already?
It is. Anything else that you wanted to touch on before we kind of conclude with our normal little ceremonial type thing?
I just wanted to tap into, what. So I was afraid to leave because of lack, and this is one of the things that I've cleared. I found this out in one of my journeys. I was afraid to leave the island because I was afraid if I left, I can't come back. It would cost too much money and I can't come back to here. Or if I left Hawaii, I can't afford to go back to Australia. Or all these ideas about lack kept coming up. And I realized, oh, no, I have unlimited abundance. How I landed on the island with massive crushing debt. My credit cards were maxed out. I only on my one credit card had enough to pay for my cell phone, I had my cell phone, but to pay for the plan for my cell phone for 1 month. And from there, the island provided for me in these amazing ways. I was pretty much never homeless. I always had somewhere to sleep. I never slept on the street. I always had food to eat. Hawaii is amazing. abundance, you have a whole different understanding of abundance living here in Hawaii. Food grows everywhere. Right over that way in front of me in the backyard, there's 3 or 4 avocado trees. Some of the best avocados around. Well, there's a few. One isn't that great, but there's one that's a butter avocado, and it's so creamy. It's amazing. But there's more avocados than you could ever eat. Behind me, across the street, guava trees. More guavas than you could ever eat. There's banana trees. There's coconuts, sprouted coconuts. There is an abundance of food that you could there's more than you could ever eat. So it's a whole new, and I don't, my stomach can't handle eating meat, so I don't eat meat. But as far as the locals, they had pigs, and now there's this abundance of wild pigs on the island. So they eat the pigs, they fish and eat the fish. So these islands provide this unimaginable abundance. And with the weather, it's perfect year round. In the summer, it might get a little bit hotter up into the 90s. In the winter, it might get down into the lower 60s at night. I mean, granted, this is at the low elevations. On top of Mauna Kea, it does snow, and sometimes on Mauna Loa as well, and Haleakala on Maui. So if you go up to Waimea, which is, I think, like 4,000 foot elevation, it does get kind of chilly in the wintertime, down in the 40s and 50s. But for the most part, most the places you'll be living, it's perfect summer-like weather year-round. And I'm really going to miss that. I'm coming back to the cold right before the cold season. But it's been almost 2 years since I've experienced winter, or maybe 3 actually, because would have been in 2017.
Because you were in Mexico, then Australia, and then Hawaii,
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
So I tapped out of winter early to go to Mexico. I'm like, peace out, cold weather. Headed to Mexico, in central Mexico, and it was already summer-like there. Then I came back for a little bit, got things ready, experienced summertime in Ohio, and then from there, had this unusually warm fall up until October. It was 80 degrees the day I left in October to go to Australia. And then I heard after I left, it almost immediately got cold and started snowing.
So we're expecting a warm winter once you return then. Is that what you're telling us?
If the nature spirits cooperate, we will see.
Cool. So how would you like to conclude tonight?
I don't know. I'm just kind of sitting over here in this blissful peace, trying to figure out how I can convey that to you, how you can tap into.
You don't need to convey anything. The story that you told are all words that point to an energy, and myself and everybody listening have the opportunity to follow that energy and have their own experience. So there's nothing you have to convey. You've already pointed, and everybody has the ability to allow that experience for themselves. Because like you said, you didn't have to climb the mountain. Nobody has to go anywhere in order to have a deep experience with these things. All they have to do is just be sitting with themselves and their soul and see what happens.
Yeah, so I was thinking about the classes coming up and what I'm going to teach or how I'm going to teach it, and I have to kind of retool my classes or rethink about what I'm going to teach. Or, I mean, I'll probably still teach what I've learned, but it's not necessary. It's tapping in and realizing your own potential. But how can we have an experience to get you to that realization of who you are? So I spoke to a few people when I was a little bit more a little bit more focused, and I could concentrate. And they had profound experiences from telling them these stories. They had these huge aha moments, and then everything was different. It kind of shattered the glasses they're wearing, and they could kind of see clearly then. So that, yeah, it's a lot to think about. It's
Well,
but I really hope that the story, we'll have to tap into that more in another episode. I'll get the actual clips that I recorded from the
well,
journey space.
and when you're here, we could also well, yeah, we could just splice it together and play it and do something like that. So definitely could do that, or just re-record it with you talking about it. But if nothing's coming to do you, I will just do thanking of all the nature spirits for just providing for you, and also and thereby providing all of us the opportunity to kind of have the experience along with you, if that's all right.
I'd like to thank the islands.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to thank the ancestors, the Amakua, the everybody who helped me have this experience. All those who came before me, all those that have taught me and mentored me, even in the physical. I've had so many wonderful, amazing teachers on the island. A big thanks to Keone, a big thanks to Rocky. They really took me under their wings and showed me so much. Just very grateful. I can't even begin to describe the gratitude I have. I actually was thinking about, I almost started crying. I was talking to my mother earlier today, and it just really dawned on me. I was so grateful. The tears were practically streaming down my face. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have a car. I've had a place to stay, a roof over my head for the last year. I started with nothing. And I knew good things were coming, good things were coming. And they did. And no matter what happened, I was taken care of. And none of it makes sense. I've tried to plot and engineer my future. Like, oh, if I invest in this and I set up that and I start, I was chasing my tail trying to have this wealth generation and all these businesses, all these business ventures, all these plans, and none of it worked out. But it was just being in that moment, being in that step of faith, knowing that it was going to work out. Yeah, it was bumpy sometimes. Yeah, I had a lot of lessons, but the painful, the uncomfortable things got me to move. And it got me to move in the direction. So now instead of moving away from something, I'm moving towards something. So instead of moving away and retreating from Hawaii, I don't want to leave Hawaii. But for now, the best course of action, I can help the most amount of people if I head back to the mainland and work with you, work with Brian, get things established, really get classes published, make material, fix and upgrade all my gear, and then I can start to travel. Then it will be a different experience again. So the next adventure will be a very different adventure. And the plan is to have no adversity because I don't need it anymore. None of those deep red emotions. We're going to be moving into blues and greens and purples. That
Sounds
is where
peaceful.
imagine looking at an oil slick on the water. How you get that iridescent color where it's just moving and constantly changing. Now, each of those colors is a stream of information. And so we're watching this like oil slick, and the way we're watching it is this physical reality. That is the stream of information that's being transmuted to us and or transmitted to us. The painting is changing colors though. We're getting some of these really dark reds right now, but it's going to change. the reds are going to fade into the greens and the blues and the purples. More beautiful than you could ever imagine.
We'll definitely have to dedicate a whole episode to diving deeper into that mountain experience.
Yeah, definitely. It was indescribable, and I'm trying to translate it the best I can. So
But for tonight, we got to wrap up, Brian.
okay, yeah.
So,
So I just want to thank the land, thank my teachers on the physical plane, on the spiritual plane. I've had so much assistance, and it just like when I tapped into it and I realized how grateful I was, it just made me want to cry. Everything that happened, all the experiences. I've gotten to travel all the Hawaiian Islands. Well, the vast majority of the islands you can travel right now. And I've just lived in this beautiful place. And I just want to say thank you to the land. Thank you to the Aina. Mahalo, Aina. Um, Mahalo, Ohana, which is family. Mahalo means thank you. Ohana's family. Aina's land. And it's thank you to ourself. Thank you to divinity. It's amazing. Once you can actually tap in and experience what everything is, it's even more beautiful than you can imagine. And, just the gratitude I have coming with nothing, less than nothing, crushing credit card debt, to walking off in a whole different situation. I'm very grateful. I have a whole new awareness. And I would like to say thank you to the islands, thank you to the land. Mahalo Aina, mahalo Ohana. Thank you. Thank you so much.
and thank you to all of you who have watched us, and we will be back on. You'll be in California next week, I think, so we'll probably still do midnight, right?
I'll be in California tomorrow.
What, right? But for next Tuesday, or where will you
And
be?
with the fires, as far as I know, it is an apocalyptic scene over there. So I'll probably only be there a couple days, and then flying out from there.
Okay. Well, then we'll see where he is, because if he's where I am, then we'll probably be calling it midday meanderings and be on a little bit earlier, but not like super early, but earlier than midnight. But we'll see, or maybe we'll just keep it up at a midnight. Who knows?
When I have a better facility, better like once I get the computer situation squared away, I get a good studio, I can generate content. I'll have more time freed up to do things. It's been not ideal living situations. It's been a little bit in survival mode.
And I got these little cameras, Brian. Oh, I should show you this. You'll love this. Have you ever heard of Mevo?
Maybe.
Haha. So this is a little camera, kind of shop talk, folks. Sorry, but this is a little itty bitty camera. See that? That all you can go out into nature with just your hotspot or whatnot, and this little thing can stream to multi destinations, so you can actually be out in nature and do live streams. It even can hook up to StreamYard. So we could be out when we go to Serpent Mound or wherever it is. If we have an internet connection, we could be streaming, all just with this camera without even needing a laptop with us.
Very cool.
Yeah, so you guys have all that to look forward to, and there might be a Serpent Mound adventure coming up. We have to work out possibly some details because it's not going to unfold the way we thought it was, but it's still going to be in the works.
The plan is to come back on the weekend of the 25th. So hopefully I'll be in Ohio on that weekend. So hopefully we can have some pretty fun shenanigans, which is my birthday. So I need to figure out a car. So if anyone has a car that they don't want or need, preferably a Toyota Prius or a Lexus CT200H.
No, you're going to call you crazy for even asking, but now I know better.
Yeah, no, so you wouldn't be, you'd be amazed. And that's really a key part of it, is vocalizing your wishes to the universe, speaking it out loud instead of just thinking, oh, I'd like that. It's that intention of putting it out there. In the Polynesian tradition, with speaking things like chants with their voice, they can heal bone instantly. And like, that's not a joke. It's medically verified. My friend had a broken shoulder. She fell off a cliff, and she didn't die. But one of the places she broke her shoulder, and a Hawaiian healer came in and did the chant with the herbs on the shoulder, like made a poultice or a compress that put it on the shoulder and chanted over it, prayed over it. By the next day, the hospital's like, we don't know how, but your shoulder's not broken anymore. So they can do that, but it's about speaking it into existence. So it's not just thinking it, it's speaking it into existence. So
Declaring your will to the universe.
yeah. So even like when dealing with people, they don't know. Most people can't read your mind. Most people don't know what you want or need until you say, hey, I'm looking for whatever it is you're looking for. And if you're more specific with it, sometimes it happens. So yeah, I'm selling my Toyota Prius, and I'm like, I want one on the mainland. I want, but Lexus has the same thing, and really used ones are about the same price. So that's what I'm thinking about getting, the Lexus CT200H, which is the Lexus version of the Toyota Prius. Basically, same thing with a Lexus trim. So then I can go on cross-country road trips, and you can sleep in the back of it. It's like the ultimate walkabout vehicle.
Knowing you're going to land in California and somebody just getting to the airport says, "Hey, I can't take this car. Do you want it?" And they'll just hand it to you as you get off the plane. We'll see.
Yes, please.
But on that note, we do want to thank everybody for watching. We will be back next Tuesday, probably at midnight again, but we'll see. Maybe just watch the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. There's a link at the very first comment from the stream earlier. If you're subscribed to YouTube, you'll always get the notifications when we schedule and when we're going to be on. And we will catch you next time. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha.